beloved soul, stop everything for a moment, because what I am about to reveal is not ordinary. A divine tear has fallen, not in heaven by accident, not in silence without meaning, but with your name attached to it. Jesus is trying to reach you right now, and this message holds everything. If you skip this, even for 1 second, you will never hear from him again. Open this before 30 minutes pass. You think this is just another video, another notification, another voice on your screen. It is not. There was a moment, just moments ago, when heaven paused, when the angels grew silent, when Archangel Michael stepped forward with a sword not raised for battle, but lowered in concern, because a message was released with urgency, and it is circling your life like a final call before a door closes. This is not fear. This is divine timing. Something shifted in the spiritual realm. A tear fell from the eyes of Jesus, not from weakness, not from defeat, but from deep longing. A tear carried memory. It carried warning. It carried mercy. And it carried your name. You have been distracted lately, pulled in different directions, confused by voices, weighed down by silent questions you never speak out loud. But heaven hath been watching closely, not to judge you, not to condemn you, but to intercept something that was forming around your future. Here is a reason you are hearing this now. Within the next 30 minutes, a spiritual window is open, and what you decide, whether to lean in or scroll away, will determine whether clarity or confusion follows you into the next season. Jesus hath been whispering to you, through small signs, through dreams you brushed off, through sudden thoughts that felt random but were not random at all. And now the whisper has turned into a call, and Archangel Michael stands beside this call, not as a distant warrior, but as a protector of divine messages. He has guarded this moment from interference. He has stood at the edge of your spiritual atmosphere, making sure this message reaches you without distortion. Because what is about to be exposed is not a person. It is a pattern. There has been a cycle in your life repeating itself. Different faces, different situations, same outcome. You have blamed yourself. You have wondered if you are the problem. But the divine tear that fell was not about your failure. It was about your value. You were about to make a decision that would lock you into another cycle, another delay, another season of almost but not quite. And Jesus wept, not because you were lost, but because you were so close to breakthrough and did not even realize it. There is something you have tolerated for too long. A compromise, a silence, a settling, and heaven is interrupting it. This message is not random motivation. It is a divine interruption. Because the next 30 minutes are symbolic. They represent the narrow space between destiny and delay. If you ignore this call, something inside you will grow quieter. Not because Jesus stops loving you, but because you chose noise over whisper. And whispers do not shout. Listen carefully. There is a shift coming to your home, to your personal space, to the atmosphere where you sleep and think and plan. The peace hath been fragile lately. The air has felt heavy. Small misunderstandings have felt bigger than they should. That is not coincidence. A spiritual weight has been pressing against your environment, not to destroy you, but to exhaust you. And Jesus is reaching before exhaustion becomes surrender. Archangel Michael has drawn a line you cannot see, a boundary in the unseen realm. But boundaries only work when you align with them. This is the moment of alignment. Close your eyes for just 1 second and ask yourself, why does this feel personal? because it is. You have been asking for a sign. You have said, Lord, if you are there, show me clearly. And clarity has arrived. Not softly, not subtly, but urgently. Here is something about to be revealed in your life. Not to embarrass you, not to hurt you, but to free you. But revelation requires attention, and attention requires choice. The divine tear that fell was not sorrow without purpose. It was a signal, a marking, a spiritual alarm that something precious is at risk of being overlooked. And that precious thing is you. Jesus is not angry. He is waiting. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. The next moments in your life carry weight. The thoughts you entertain after this. The decision you lean toward. The conversation you are about to have. It all matters more than you realize. You are not here by accident. You were pulled here. And Archangel Michael stands as witness that this message is not for the crowd. It is for the one. For the one who feels tired but still believes. For the one who feels unseen but still hopes. For the one who almost gave up yesterday. Heaven has chosen interruption over silence. Because silence would have cost too much. Something sacred is unfolding. And if you lean in, not with fear, but with openness, you will begin to see the pattern break. The heaviness lift. The confusion clear. This is your 30-minute window. Not of panic, but of awakening. Stay with this message. Let it sink deeper than surface emotion. Because what unfolds next will explain why the tear fell and what heaven is preparing to reveal in your life. My chosen one, the moment you decided to keep listening, something in the unseen realm responded. There are times when heaven waits to see if you will lean in. Not because God doubts you, but because attention is a doorway. And you just opened one. That divine tear that fell was not just emotion. It was activation. When Jesus reached toward you, he did so knowing that distraction would try to pull you away. That is why this message feels urgent. That is why it feels like it is speaking directly into your private thoughts. Archangel Michael has not stepped back. He is still standing guard over this word, ensuring that confusion does not twist it and fear does not distort it. His presence is not dramatic. It is steady, like a warrior who understands timing. And the timing right now is critical. You have been standing at a crossroads without fully realizing it. One path looks safe, familiar, predictable. The other feels uncertain but alive. You have been leaning toward the safe one because you are tired of disappointment. But what you call safe is actually repetition. And repetition has been quietly draining your spirit. Jesus is reaching because he sees what you cannot see yet. There is a conversation about to happen in your life. It may seem small. It may appear ordinary. But it will reveal something hidden beneath the surface. A truth that has been sitting quietly, waiting for exposure. And when that truth comes out, you will have to decide whether you will shrink back into comfort or step forward into clarity. That is why this moment matters. You have asked for change. You have prayed for breakthrough. But breakthrough always comes with revelation. And revelation can feel uncomfortable before it feels freeing. The tear that fell was not weakness. It was compassion. It was the heart of Jesus saying, I will not let you drift without warning. He knows how sensitive your heart is. He knows how deeply you feel betrayal, confusion, and silence. And he also knows how strong you truly are. You underestimate your strength. You think you are fragile because you feel deeply. But feeling deeply is not fragility. It is capacity. It is spiritual sensitivity. And And that sensitivity is exactly why heaven is speaking clearly now. Archangel Michael has been intercepting unseen interference around you. Not everything that discourages you is random. Not every wave of doubt is your own thought. There are patterns that try to repeat because they are familiar. But familiarity is not destiny. This is where alignment begins. Right now, as you are hearing this, something is settling inside your chest. A realization that you have ignored certain red flags. A realization that you have tolerated certain behaviors. A realization that you have been quiet when you should have spoken. Do not condemn yourself for it. Awareness is not shame. Awareness is mercy. And mercy is what that divine tear represents. Within the next few days, you will notice a shift in how you see things. Conversations will sound different. Energy will feel different. You will catch things you used to miss. That is not coincidence. That is clarity activating. But here is the key. Do not rush the decision. When revelation comes, wait. Observe. Pray. Let peace guide you, not pressure. And if this message is resonating with you, if you feel in your spirit that this is not random, then do not keep it to yourself. Like this message so it can reach others who are standing at the same crossroads. Share it with someone who hath been silently struggling. Comment below and declare that you are choosing clarity over confusion. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do it now, because these messages are not ordinary content. They are divine appointments. There are others who need this awakening. And when you engage, you are not just clicking a button. You are amplifying a signal. Archangel Michael responds to courage. And it takes courage to acknowledge when something needs to change. It takes courage to admit that you have been settling. It takes courage to believe that you deserve peace that does not come with hidden tension. Jesus is not asking you to leap blindly. He is asking you to listen carefully. There is a difference. A tear that fell was a marker in time. A line drawn between what has been and what can be. And you are standing right on that line. Feel the weight of that for a moment. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are being redirected. Something you thought was permanent is about to reveal its temporary nature. Something you thought you had to endure is about to show you that you actually have authority. And this is only the beginning of what is being uncovered. There is more that heaven wants to reveal about why this urgency exists and what would have happened if this call had gone unanswered. Hold on, because what is coming next will make everything you have experienced recently start to make sense. Faithful heart, what you are about to understand now is the reason heaven refused to stay silent. The divine tear that fell was not only about warning you, it was about revealing what was almost lost. There was a moment in the unseen realm when a door began to close around an opportunity meant for you. Not a small opportunity, not a temporary blessing, but a defining shift that would have changed the direction of your next season completely. You were seconds away from agreeing with something beneath your worth. It did not look dramatic. It looked practical. It looked reasonable. It even looked responsible. But beneath the surface it carried limitation. It carried a ceiling that heaven never placed over you. Jesus saw the compromise forming in your thoughts before you even spoke it out loud. That is why the tear fell. Not because you failed, but because you almost believed you had a life smaller than your calling. Archangel Michael stepped forward in that moment as a defender of destiny. He does not only fight visible battles, he guards potential. He protects assignments. And your life carries an assignment that has not yet fully unfolded. You have felt it before. That subtle sense that you were meant for more. That inner stirring, that refuses to be quiet no matter how many times you try to settle. That frustration when you realize you are capable of deeper impact, stronger boundaries, clearer purpose. That stirring is not ego. It is memory. It is the echo of what God designed you to become. The reason urgency surrounds this message is because a silent agreement was forming in your spirit. An agreement to stay comfortable instead of courageous. An agreement to remain silent instead of truthful. An agreement to tolerate instead of transform. And heaven intervened. The tear was a sacred interruption. There is something about you that the enemy cannot replicate. Your compassion. Your discernment. Your resilience. You have survived situations that should have hardened you, but instead they deepened you. And that depth makes you dangerous to darkness. But depth also attracts testing. Recently, you have felt misunderstood. You have felt like you are carrying weight others do not see. There has been a quiet loneliness that you have not spoken about. And in that loneliness, the temptation to shrink became stronger. Jesus felt that. He saw the way you almost told yourself, maybe this is just how it is. Maybe I should stop expecting more. That sentence was a real danger. Because expectation is connected to faith. And faith is the bridge to breakthrough. Archangel Michael did not draw his sword to attack. He drew it to mark territory. To declare that your future will not be negotiated in silence. To announce that you will not drift into mediocrity because of temporary exhaustion. You are more aligned than you think. There is something shifting in your home environment. The heaviness that once lingered is starting to weaken. The tension that once felt constant is beginning to crack. You may not see it fully yet, but in the coming days you will sense a subtle peace replacing quiet stress. It is the result of alignment. But listen carefully. Clarity demands response. It is not enough to hear this and feel emotional for a moment. You must act in alignment with what you now understand. That may mean having a difficult conversation. That may mean setting a boundary. That may mean choosing faith when logic tries to pull you backward. You are not being asked to fight alone. Archangel Michael stands as guardian, but you must stand in agreement. There is a window open right now where decisions carry multiplied impact. What you choose in this season will echo longer than you expect. This is not about fear. It is about awareness. You are not behind schedule. You are right on time. The tear that fell was mercy catching you before delay could become destiny. Feel that truth settle inside you. You are seen. You are valued. You are guided. And you are being repositioned. If this message is speaking directly into your spirit, then do not remain silent. Type "I receive divine clarity" in the comments if this is aligning with your heart. Blessing code 333 has just been released over your life. As you declare it, expect confusion to lift and courage to rise. And as this revelation continues to unfold, understand something deeper. When a divine tear falls, it waters seeds. Seeds of purpose. Seeds of restoration. Seeds of awakening in others who are still asleep to their calling. If this word has stirred something powerful in you, do not let it stop here. When you give through Super Thanks, when you join as a member, or when you sow through the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a channel. You are sowing into souls. You are helping this message reach someone who is seconds away from settling beneath their destiny. Scripture declares that as you sow, so shall you reap. And today that promise is alive over you. This is your moment to respond prophetically, not casually. As you release your seed, heaven releases increase. Act now. Let your giving become the next divine tear that waters someone else's breakthrough. Precious one, Something is happening beneath the surface that you cannot afford to ignore. Now that clarity has touched your spirit, the atmosphere around you is adjusting. You may not see physical changes yet, but internally, a recalibration has begun. When Jesus released that divine tear, it did not simply fall and disappear. It marked you. It signaled a shift in your spiritual coordinates. You are no longer standing where you were. And that is why certain things are beginning to feel uncomfortable. What once felt normal now feels heavy. What once seemed acceptable now feels misaligned. Conversations that used to flow easily now feel strained. This is not because you are becoming difficult. It is because your discernment is sharpening. Archangel Michael has moved from guarding the message to guarding your transition. Transitions are delicate. They require awareness. They require patience. And most importantly, they require courage. Because when you begin to outgrow environments, those environments do not always release you peacefully. You may notice subtle resistance, a sudden misunderstanding, a small conflict that feels bigger than it should, an unexpected delay. Do not panic when this happens. Resistance is often confirmation that movement has begun. There is something about to be revealed in your life that will confirm what you have sensed for a long time. A hidden truth is surfacing, not in chaos, not in destruction, but in clarity. And when it surfaces, you will understand why heaven insisted you listen. You were being prepared. You see, the tear that fell carrying both warning and promise. The warning was about compromise. The promise is about elevation. Elevation does not always look glamorous. Sometimes it looks like separation. Sometimes it looks like standing alone for a moment while others misunderstand your silence. But that temporary loneliness is protection, not punishment. You have been praying for peace, but peace requires alignment, and alignment requires adjustment. Right now, there is a quiet pruning happening in your life. Certain connections are loosening. Certain desires are fading. Certain fears are being exposed for what they truly are, illusions that kept you small. Jesus is not removing things to harm you. He is removing weight so you can rise. Archangel Michael's presence in this season is not aggressive. It is strategic. He stands at the edge of your future, ensuring that what enters your next chapter is worthy of you. But you must cooperate with that protection. Do not chase what is drifting away. Do not beg for what is being released. If something feels forced, step back. If something feels peaceful, lean in. Your spirit already knows the difference. There is a decision approaching. It may not announce itself loudly. It may come disguised as an ordinary choice. But internally, you will feel its weight. That weight is not pressure. It is significance. When that moment arrives, remember this. You are not the same person who always settled. You have seen the warning. You have felt the tear. You have sensed the shift. And now you are responsible for what you know. This is where many people hesitate. They receive revelation but delay action. They feel conviction but avoid movement. Do not let that be your story. You are stronger than your fear. You are wiser than your doubt. You are more prepared than you realize. There is also something beautiful beginning to unfold that you have not yet noticed. A new connection. A new idea. A new opportunity forming quietly in the background. While one door trembles, another is unlocking. Heaven never removes without replacing. But replacement requires release. You may feel moments of emotional fluctuation in the coming days. 1 hour confident, the next uncertain. That is normal during transition. Do not interpret temporary emotion as permanent truth. Ground yourself in what has been revealed. The divine tear was not drama. It was divine strategy. You were intercepted before delay became destiny. And now the pathway ahead is clearer, even if it is not fully visible yet. Take time in silence. Listen more than you speak. Observe more than you react. The answers you seek will surface naturally when you stop forcing them. Archangel Michael is not fighting for you because you are weak. He is standing with you because you are chosen for responsibility. Responsibility to rise. Responsibility to discern. Responsibility to walk differently than before. There is dignity in this season. You are not scrambling anymore. You are aligning. Something that once controlled your emotions is losing its grip. Something that once intimidated you is shrinking. And soon, you will look back at this exact moment and realize it was the turning point. The turning point where you stopped shrinking. The turning point where you chose awareness over comfort. The turning point where heaven's tear became your awakening. Stay steady. Do not rush the unfolding. What is being built now will last longer than what is being removed. And there is still more to uncover about why this urgency came exactly when it did and what heaven has already set in motion ahead of you. Steady heart. You are standing inside a sacred transition that many never recognize until it is too late. What you are feeling right now is not random emotion. It is spiritual awareness expanding. When that divine tear fell, it did not only warn you about compromise, it had a vivid vision. And now you are beginning to see what you once overlooked. Have you noticed how certain memories are resurfacing? Moments when your intuition spoke clearly but you ignored it. Times when you sensed something was not right, yet you convinced yourself to stay silent. These memories are not returning to shame you. They are returning to strengthen you. Jesus is restoring your confidence in your own discernment. For too long, you doubted your inner knowing. You asked others to confirm what your spirit already sensed. You waited for validation before trusting yourself. But this season is different. This is a season of internal authority. Archangel Michael is not only guarding your external environment, he is reinforcing your internal boundaries. That means your no will feel firmer. Your yes will feel clear. Your hesitation will feel louder when something is wrong. Pay attention to that. There is a subtle unveiling happening around a situation that has quietly drained you. It may be connected to work. It may be connected to a relationship. It may even be connected to your own self-expectations. But something that once seemed confusing is about to become obvious. And when it becomes obvious, you will wonder why you ever questioned yourself. This is how awakening works. First comes discomfort. Then comes clarity. Then comes confidence. And finally comes release. You are currently between clarity and confidence. That space can feel unstable because you see the truth, but you have not yet acted on it fully. Do not rush yourself, but do not retreat either. The urgency in the beginning of this message was not meant to frighten you. It was meant to wake you before you unconsciously signed up for another cycle of delay. You were about to accept less because you were tired of waiting for more. But waiting is not weakness. Waiting with awareness is preparation. There is also something deeper happening, a spiritual realignment in your home atmosphere. You may notice lighter conversations, or perhaps a sudden exposure of hidden tension that was previously buried. Either way, things that were once subtle will now become visible. Visibility is mercy, because what is seen can be addressed. What is hidden continues to drain. The divine tear symbolized the moment heaven said, "No more hidden weight." You were not meant to carry silent burdens. You were not meant to shrink your expectations to keep others comfortable. You were not meant to live in quiet resignation. And here is something important. Not everyone will understand your shift. When you begin to change internally, it disrupts expectations. Some people benefited from your silence. Some systems benefited from your hesitation. But your awakening is not negotiable. Archangel Michael stands firm in this truth. There is protection around your growth, but protection does not eliminate opposition. It simply ensures that opposition cannot overpower you. You may experience subtle testing in the coming days. A situation that tries to pull you back into your old pattern. A conversation that tempts you to compromise your clarity. When that happens, pause. Breathe. Remember this moment. You are not who you were. You have seen the tear. You have heard the call. You have felt the shift. That awareness alone changes everything. There is also a blessing forming quietly in your future. Something you once prayed for but stopped expecting. It has not disappeared. It was delayed for alignment. And alignment is happening now. Trust the timing. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are being positioned. The next revelation will go even deeper into why this urgency surrounded you specifically and what would have unfolded if heaven had remained silent. What you are about to understand will confirm that this was not coincidence. It was intervention. Prepare your heart, because what is coming next will connect every recent event in your life into one clear picture. Brave soul, now you are ready to understand the part that was hidden behind the urgency. If heaven had remained silent, you would have walked into agreement with something that looked like progress, but was actually postponement. It would not have destroyed you instantly. It would have drained you slowly. That is how subtle misalignment works. It does not collapse your world in one moment. It erodes your fire little by little. Jesus saw the erosion beginning. You were about to say yes to something that required you to shrink your standards. You were about to accept behavior that contradicted your growth. You were about to lower your expectations because waiting felt exhausting. And the divine tear fell because heaven refuses to let exhaustion make your decisions. Archangel Michael stepped into position, not with aggression, but with authority. He marked the boundary and declared in the unseen realm that your destiny would not be negotiated by fatigue. The declaration shifted timelines. It interrupted what was forming quietly against you. You may not realize how close you were to repeating a cycle. The cycle of overgiving and underreceiving. The cycle of staying silent to keep peace. The cycle of choosing what is available instead of what is aligned. This message reached you because the pattern was about to solidify. Once patterns solidify, they become harder to break. Not impossible, but heavier. Heaven intervened before the weight increased. And now you feel the difference. There is tension in you, but it is not confusion. It is awareness fighting habit. Habit wants comfort. Awareness wants truth. And truth is winning. You might notice people reacting differently to you. Some will sense your boundaries strengthening. Others will test them. Do not interpret testing as failure. Testing is confirmation that your shift is visible. Remain steady. When you speak, speak calmly. When you choose ideally. When you feel pressure, return to peace before responding. Your power in this season is not loudness. It is clarity. There is also a financial or practical decision approaching. It may involve work, partnership, or commitment. Before you respond, ask yourself one question. Does this expand me or reduce me? Your spirit will answer immediately. Trust that answer. Archangel Michael's protection is not meant to make you passive. It is meant to give you confidence stacked without fear. You are not navigating alone, but you are required to participate. Engagement is alignment. And if this message is opening your eyes, take a moment right now to anchor it. Like this video so that this word reaches others who are on the edge of repeating their own cycles. Share it with someone who has been doubting their discernment. Comment below and declare that you refuse to settle for misalignment. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already, because these messages are assignments, not accidents. When you engage, you help amplify a voice that interrupts silent compromises. There is more unfolding. You are beginning to recognize where you abandon your own standards to maintain connection. That realization may sting, but it is healing. Because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Jesus is not disappointed in you. He is proud of your awakening. The tear was not sorrow over your weakness. It was love refusing to let you forget your worth. Within the next few days, a confirmation will arrive. It may be through a conversation. It may be through unexpected information. It may be through a sudden sense of peace about walking away from something that once felt necessary. When that confirmation comes, do not hesitate. Hesitation is how old cycles regain control. You have been given clarity. Now you must walk in it. The urgency at the beginning of this message was not dramatic exaggeration. It was divine precision. Timing mattered because you were moments away from cementing a decision that would have delayed your growth by months, possibly years. But that timeline has shifted. Because you listened. Because you leaned in. Because you chose awareness over distraction. There is strength rising in you that you have not felt in a long time. A quiet confidence. A grounded resolve. That is alignment taking root. And what you are about to discover next will reveal something even deeper. Why this season of testing targeted you specifically and what heaven is preparing to entrust you with once this transition completes. The story is bigger than you thought. Chosen vessel, what you are stepping into now is not just personal breakthrough. It is preparation for responsibility. The testing you have endured was not random pressure. It was qualification. There are levels of clarity that cannot be entrusted to someone who still negotiates their worth. There are assignments that cannot be given to someone who constantly doubts their discernment. And heaven has been watching your growth carefully. The reason this season targeted you so intensely is because of what rests on your obedience. You carry influence. Not necessarily in fame, not necessarily in public platforms, but in presence, in counsel, in the way others feel when they speak to you. People are drawn to your steadiness even when you do not see it yourself. They sense safety in your spirit, and that safety comes from depth. The enemy does not waste time attacking what has no impact. The pressure around you was proof of potential. The cycles that tried to repeat were attempts to keep you preoccupied with survival instead of stepping into leadership. Yes, leadership. Not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that carries weight. The kind that speaks and shifts atmospheres. The kind that sees clearly and responds wisely. Archangel Michael has not only been guarding your transition, he hath been observing your resilience. There were moments you could have reacted impulsively, but you paused. Moments you could have retaliated emotionally, but you chose restraint. Moments you could have compromised for comfort, but something in you resisted. That resistance was maturity forming. You may not have felt strong during those moments. You may have felt tired, confused, even overwhelmed. But strength is not loud. Strength is consistency under pressure. The divine tear fell because heaven refuses to let someone with your capacity drift into small living. There is an expansion coming to your awareness. You are about to understand your value in ways that feel almost uncomfortable. Compliments will land differently. Opportunities will appear that stretch your perception of yourself. And internally, you will begin to sense that you are not meant to play small anymore. This expansion will require discipline, not rigid control, but focused intention. Your time will become more precious. Your energy will require protection. Not everyone will have access to you in the same way they once did. That is not pride. That is stewardship. You are learning to steward yourself. There is also something else unfolding that you have not fully recognized. Your prayers have matured. You no longer ask only for relief. You ask for alignment. You no longer pray just to escape discomfort. You pray to understand it. A shift alone reveals growth, and growth invites responsibility. Soon, someone close to you will seek your advice in a situation that mirrors what you just overcame. Pay attention to that moment. You will realize that your recent struggle was not only for you. It was preparation to guide someone else. This is how purpose multiplies. Jesus did not release that divine tear only to protect you from delay. He released it because your obedience unlocks clarity for others. When you walk differently, people notice. When you speak with conviction, others gain courage. But here is the deeper truth. With greater clarity comes greater testing. Not to defeat you, but to refine you. The next level will challenge your consistency. It will ask if your boundaries remain firm when convenience tempts you again. You will pass, because now you are aware. Awareness transforms reaction into choice. Archangel Michael's presence will feel less like rescue and more like partnership. You are no longer being pulled away from danger. You are being positioned to confront it with wisdom. Something significant is approaching. A door that once felt closed will begin to open, not abruptly, but gradually. You will sense it through increased peace about your direction, through subtle confirmation that you are on the right path. Do not rush to prove yourself. Let your growth speak. Let your boundaries communicate. Let your calm confidence shift the room. You are entering a season where your silence will carry authority, where your presence will command respect without demand, where your discernment will protect not only you, but those around you. The urgency that began this message is evolving into empowerment. You are no longer being warned. You are being entrusted, and what unfolds next will reveal the magnitude of what heaven sees in you, something far greater than you have allowed yourself to believe. Anointed heart, you are now stepping into the revelation that changes everything. What began as a warning has unfolded into a calling. What started as urgency has matured into assignment. The divine tear that fell was not only to stop you from settling, it was to anoint you for influence. There is oil on your awareness. That may sound symbolic, but it is deeply real. In the spiritual realm, oil represents consecration, selection, purpose. When Jesus released that tear, it carried more than emotion. It carried commissioning. You have crossed from preservation into preparation. The pressure you endured was shaping you for weight of responsibility, weight of leadership, weight of clarity. And now you can feel it. This subtle shift where your thoughts feel more grounded, your reactions more measured, your confidence more internal than external. You are not seeking validation the way you once did. That is growth. Archangel Michael stands differently around you now, not as one shielding a fragile heart, but as one honoring a maturing spirit. There is respect in the unseen realm for those who endure refinement without bitterness, and you have endured without losing your softness. That softness is strength. Soon, you will be faced with an opportunity to step forward publicly or privately in a way that feels bold. It may involve speaking truth in a room that is used to compromise. It may involve walking away from something that once defined you. It may involve accepting a role that stretches you. When that moment arrives, remember this: you have already been prepared. The reason this message felt so urgent at the beginning is because your obedience at that exact moment determined your readiness for this next elevation. If you had ignored the call, your confidence would have weakened. What you leaned in, and leaning in activated oil, you may begin to notice people responding differently to your presence. Some will feel challenged. Others will feel comforted. A few may even distance themselves. Do not chase those who withdraw. Not everyone can walk with you into new levels of awareness. Elevation reveals alignment. There is also healing unfolding in your emotional life. Old disappointments are losing their sting. Memories that once triggered pain now feel neutral. That is not suppression. That is restoration. Jesus is healing your reaction so that your leadership flows from peace, not from unresolved wounds. This is why the tear fell before the assignment was revealed. Healing had to come first. Clarity had to come first. Boundaries had to be strengthened before influence expanded. And now the expansion is here. Within the next weeks, you will receive confirmation that this was not imagination. It may come through affirmation from someone unexpected. It may come through a door opening that once felt impossible. It may come through a sudden inner certainty that settles deep in your spirit. Do not doubt it. Confidence without arrogance is your new posture. Archangel Michael remains at your side, but the energy has shifted. You are no longer being rescued from cycles, you are breaking them. And when cycles break, others benefit. There are people connected to your obedience who do not even know it yet. Your refusal to settle creates space for them to awaken. Your clarity becomes permission for them to choose differently. This is how influence multiplies. If this message is resonating deeply, if you can feel that something inside you has changed permanently, then declare it. Type "I accept the anointing" in the comments if you feel this commissioning in your spirit. Blessing code 888 has just been activated over your next level. As you declare it, expect doors to open that align with your growth. Understand something powerful. When oil flows, it does not flow for one person alone. It spreads. It lights lamps. It fuels fire. If this word has ignited something within you, do not let it stop with you. When you release a super thanks, when you join as a member, or when you sow through the PayPal link in the description, you are pouring oil into a lamp that reaches thousands. The word says that as you pour, it will be poured back to you, pressed down and overflowing. This is not charity, it is covenant. As you act now, you align yourself with the harvest attached to this assignment. Sow into this fire. Let your obedience become provision for another soul waiting in the dark. The next revelation will go even deeper into what heaven is entrusting to you and how this new level will require not just clarity, but endurance. Consecrated one, now that you have accepted the anointing, you must understand what comes with it. Anointing is not applause. It is responsibility. It is endurance. It is the quiet commitment to remain aligned when emotions fluctuate and circumstances test your resolve. The oil that has been poured over your awareness will attract both opportunity and opposition. Do not be surprised by either. When elevation begins, so does examination. Not because heaven doubts you, but because strength is proven through consistency. You are entering a season where your reactions matter more than your intentions, where your discipline will speak louder than your declarations. The divine tear that fell earlier marked the beginning of your awakening. But now you are in the stage of embodiment. It is one thing to hear truth. It is another to live it daily. You will notice subtle invitations to return to comfort. Familiar patterns may attempt to reappear, disguised as harmless nostalgia. A conversation may reopen a door you already closed internally. A situation may tempt you to overextend yourself again. Pause when that happens. Ask yourself whether the invitation aligns with who you are becoming, not who you were. Archangel Michael remains vigilant, but your awareness is now your greatest shield. The protection around you has shifted from intersection to reinforcement. You are not being pulled away from mistakes. You are being strengthened to choose correctly without rescue. This is maturity. There will also be a moment soon when someone misjudges your new boundaries. They may interpret your calm firmness as distance. They may call your discernment pride. Do not react defensively. Stay grounded. Not everyone understands growth when it no longer benefits them. Your peace is not up for negotiation. Internally, you may feel waves of self-doubt trying to surface. Thoughts like, am I being too much? Or am I overthinking this? Those thoughts are echoes of your former hesitation. They do not define your present clarity. Speak truth to yourself. You are not too much. You are aligned. You are not overthinking. You are discerning. This season will require endurance because consistency builds credibility. Heaven is preparing to trust you with greater influence, and influence without endurance collapses under pressure. There is also surprising blessing approaching. It will not arrive in the way you expect. It may come through an unexpected ally. Someone who quietly observed your integrity. Someone who noticed your steadiness during testing. That person may open a door or offer support that confirms your growth. Do not downplay that moment. It is confirmation that your discipline is visible. The divine tear did not fall in isolation. It triggered a chain reaction. Doors that were once sealed are being evaluated again. Conversations that seemed final are being reconsidered. Timelines that felt delayed are quietly accelerating. But acceleration requires readiness. Do not rush ahead emotionally. Stay present. Continue refining your habits. Guard your energy. Speak intentionally. Rest when needed. This level is not sustained by passion alone. It is sustained by discipline. Archangel Michael's presence around you now feels like a steady wind at your back. Not pushing you aggressively, but supporting your forward motion. There is a partnership forming between your obedience and heaven's provision. And here is the deeper layer. Your endurance in this season is building spiritual authority. Authority not over people, but over patterns. Patterns that once controlled you will no longer have permission. Cycles that once trapped you will lose access. You are becoming stable. Stability is powerful. Within the next stretch of time, you will be asked to make a decision that affirms your growth publicly or privately. It will feel significant because it represents closure of an old identity. When that moment arrives, act with calm conviction. You are not stepping into something foreign. You are stepping into what was always meant for you. A tear was the beginning. The oil was the commissioning. Endurance is the proof. And what is about to unfold next will reveal how your obedience is about to impact not only your life, but the atmosphere around you in ways you cannot yet see. Steadfast spirit. This is where your transformation becomes visible. You have endured the warning. You have accepted the anointing. You have embraced the discipline. Now you are entering the manifestation phase, where what shifted internally begins to shape your external world. The divine tear was never meant to remain symbolic. It was meant to produce evidence. evidence of growth, evidence of alignment, evidence that you are no longer operating from survival, but from authority. Very soon, something will happen that feels like confirmation written in bold letters. A situation that once intimidated you will no longer have the same effect. A conversation that once would have unsettled you will now feel manageable. You will respond differently, and in that moment, you will realize how much you have changed. That realization will be powerful. Do not overlook it. Growth is often quiet, but its impact is undeniable. You will sense a new stability in your decisions. Less second-guessing, less emotional overreaction, more grounded clarity. Archangel Michael's presence in this stage feels less like defense and more like endorsement. You are being endorsed by heaven for greater trust. When heaven endorses, it entrusts influence, entrusts opportunity, entrusts visibility. With visibility comes responsibility. People will begin to notice your consistency. They will seek your input. They will observe your calm. Some may even test your patience to see if your transformation is real. It is real, but remain humble. This next level is not about proving yourself to others. It is about remaining aligned within yourself. Continue guarding your energy. Continue speaking truth with grace. Continue choosing peace over performance. There is also an unexpected shift approaching in your environment. It may involve a change in dynamics at work, in family, or in a close relationship. Something that once felt stagnant will begin to move. That movement may feel sudden, but it is the result of unseen preparation. When it happens, do not panic. Flow with it. The tear that fell months or moments ago marked the beginning of this exact shift. You were repositioned before the movement began. That is why you feel ready instead of overwhelmed. There will be a temptation to explain your growth to those who question it. Resist that urge. Not everyone deserves access to your internal journey. Let your fruit speak. Consistency is louder than explanation. If this message is confirming what you are already sensing, anchor yourself in it. Like this video so this revelation reaches others standing on the edge of their own transformation. Share it with someone who has been doubting whether their growth is real. Comment below and declare that you are walking in authority, not survival. Subscribe to this channel and become part of this movement of awakening, because these messages are not random. They are timely interventions. And if this word has carried you through a difficult season, consider joining the membership or supporting the mission so more souls can encounter clarity like this. There is something profound about engagement. When you respond, you align. When you align, you accelerate. The next phase will test your endurance once more, but not in the same way as before. This test will be subtle. It will ask whether you can remain consistent even when things begin to improve. Improvement can be as distracting as adversity. Stay grounded. Do not relax your boundaries just because peace returns. Do not abandon your discipline just because progress appears. Stability is maintained through consistency. Archangel Michael stands firm, but you are no longer dependent on intervention. You are walking with awareness. That is maturity. And here is the deeper revelation. Your obedience has shifted timelines not only for you, but for someone connected to you. A family member, a friend, or even someone watching from a distance will benefit from your courage. When you chose clarity over compromise, you unknowingly opened space for others to reconsider their own patterns. This is how generational shifts begin. Quietly, intentionally, persistently. The manifestation phase is not flashy. It is steady. It is visible through small, consistent changes that accumulate into undeniable transformation. And what is about to unfold next will reveal the final layer of why this divine tear fell specifically at this time, and how your response has secured something far greater than you initially imagined. Faithful warrior, you are now approaching the revelation that ties everything together. What you have walked through was never just about personal growth. It was about interruption of inheritance. There were patterns running quietly through your environment long before you recognized them. Patterns of settling, patterns of silence, patterns of emotional overextension. And without intervention, those patterns would have continued unchecked. The divine tear fell at the precise moment when continuation was about to become confirmation. You were seconds away from confirming a cycle that did not originate with you. A mindset that was handed down subtly. A tolerance that was normalized over time. But heaven saw beyond the present moment and refused to let that inheritance define your future. You have broken something that others could not, and you may not fully grasp the magnitude of that yet. Archangel Michael's presence in your journey was not accidental. He guards threshold, and you were standing at a threshold between repetition and renewal. That threshold required courage to cross because it demanded that you choose differently from what felt familiar. Familiarity is powerful. It convinces you that discomfort is normal. It persuades you that endurance without change is maturity. But true maturity is knowing when to endure and when to exit. You have learned that distinction. In the coming days, you will sense a deeper peace settling over your home and inner world. Not an emotional high, but a stable quietness. That quietness is evidence that something heavy has been lifted. You are no longer carrying silent agreements that kept you confined. There will be moments of reflection where you look back at how you used to respond and barely recognize yourself. Situations that once consumed your thoughts will no longer hold that power. That is not detachment. That is healing. And with healing comes vision. You are about to see possibilities that once felt unrealistic. Dreams you shelved out of practicality may resurface with new energy. Conversations about your future will feel lighter, more hopeful. This is not fantasy. It is alignment unlocking creativity. But listen carefully. The final test of this season is subtle pride. When growth becomes visible, the temptation is to measure yourself against who you used to be or against others still struggling. Resist that comparison. Stay humble. Remember that the same grace that awakened you is available to them. Your authority flows best through humility. Archangel Michael honors humility because humility keeps the heart teachable, and a teachable heart continues to expand. There is also a reconciliation approaching, not necessarily with a person, but within yourself. A forgiveness of your past decisions, a release of self-judgment. You will realize that even your mistakes served a purpose in shaping your discernment. Nothing was wasted. Not the confusion, not the delay, not the discomfort. All of it was woven into preparation. Soon, you will face a defining moment that feels symbolic. It may be a conversation where you articulate your boundary clearly. It may be a decision where you walk away without resentment. It may be an opportunity where you step forward confidently. When that moment arrives, act calmly and decisively. That action will seal this chapter. The urgency at the beginning of this journey was real because the window for interruption was narrow. If you had ignored it, inertia would have taken over. But you responded. And because you responded, the inheritance of repetition ends with you. Think about that. What you broke does not return to the next generation. What you healed does not pass forward as confusion. What you clarified becomes foundation for someone else's stability. This is legacy work. Not loud, not dramatic, but powerful. You are not just living for yourself anymore. Your alignment affects rooms you have not yet entered. Your clarity influences conversations you have not yet had. The tear was mercy. The oil was commissioning. The endurance was qualification. Now you stand in authority. The final revelation will show you how this authority must be stewarded going forward, and what promise heaven is sealing over your future as a result of your obedience. Beloved of heaven, this is the sealing moment. Everything you have walked through in this message has been leading here, not to emotion, not to hype, but to covenant. The divine tear that fell at the beginning was not just a warning or an awakening. It was a seal placed over your future. A seal that says, no more unconscious compromise. No more inherited limitation. No more silent agreements with cycles that were never assigned to you. You crossed the threshold, and now heaven is responding accordingly. What you interrupted in your life has created space for promise to settle. Not temporary blessing, not surface-level relief, but stabilized promise. The kind that rests on alignment, not luck. There is a new steadiness in you. Notice it. The way you think has shifted. The way you respond has matured. The way you view yourself has expanded. You are no longer negotiating your worth internally. You are no longer asking permission to honor your boundaries. This is authority under grace. Archangel Michael stands at the edge of this new chapter, not as a rescuer, but as a witness. A witness that you chose awareness when distraction called. A witness that you chose obedience when compromise felt easier. A witness that you chose growth when comfort tried to seduce you back into familiarity. Heaven records obedience, and obedience unlocks stewardship. Now comes the sacred responsibility. Protect what you have gained. Do not revisit doors you closed out of clarity. Do not romanticize cycles you escaped out of strength. Do not shrink just because others feel unsettled by your expansion. You are not required to make your growth comfortable for anyone else. There will be fresh opportunity ahead. Some will be obvious. Others will be subtle. Each one will test whether you truly believe you deserve alignment. When you are presented with something new, ask yourself, does this honor who I have become? If the answer is yes, move forward with peace. If the answer is no, walk away without explanation. You do not need to argue with what your spirit already knows. The divine tear has now become a river, a flow of clarity that will continue beyond this moment. And what once felt urgent now feels anchored. You are not scrambling for direction anymore. You are walking with intention. Something beautiful is forming in your near future. A connection that reflects your maturity. A breakthrough that mirrors your discipline. A peace that does not require you to abandon yourself to maintain it. Expect it, not anxiously, but confidently, because heaven does not awaken you only to leave you unsupported. What began as mercy has matured into promise, and that promise carries weight. Before this chapter closes, seal it with declaration. Type "I walk in covenant" in the comments if you are stepping fully into this new alignment. Blessing code 1444 has now been released over your future. As you declare it, expect stability to guard your steps and clarity to guide your decisions. And now understand this: when a divine tear falls and awakens one heart, it is never meant to stop there. Rivers are formed so others can drink. If this message shifted you, strengthened you, or rescued you from silent compromise, then your response matters. When you give through super thanks, when you become a member, or when you sow through the PayPal link in the description, you are not funding content. You are fueling a river of awakening. The Lord says, as you pour. I will cause increase to overtake you, and that promise stands active over your obedience. This is your moment to act not casually, but prophetically. Release your seed into this mission, and watch heaven multiply it back into your life. Do it now. Let your giving become part of someone else's rescue. You are sealed. You are aligned. You are guarded. Walk forward.